Thank you very much, sir. We're making inauguration of our session with a positive vibration. We're making Shankanadam. Now I request our beloved Secretary of KQHDA, Dr. Shubha, to continue the program. Yes, Dr. Shubha.
Thank you, Hegde sir. Thank you, Patel sir, to awaken all of us with a positive aura through the Shankunadam. Now I welcome our Vice President, Dr. Diba Amar, who is a very diligent member of KQHDA, to welcome all of the members to this session. Dr. Diba Amar. Hello, Dr.
Hello,
Diba.
everyone. Thank you, Patel sir. I'm speaking now. Can't you hear me?
Yes, audible. Go on.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone.
You're audible.
Continue.
Thank you, Patel sir, for the good start. I am Dr. Deepa Amar, Vice President in KQHDA. On behalf of our association, I request Dr. Patel sir, our patron, and I welcome Dr. Patel sir, and I welcome Dr. Shripad Hegde sir, our president and our chair, sir, to this great webinar. Today's special webinar having 3 experienced doctors. I welcome Dr. Chaitali and Dr. Manjula to this webinar, and I request them to share their experiences in their clinics. And welcome everyone who is present here today. Make the webinar grand success. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Debama. Now I call for Dr. Deba Raji, a very active member, our Vice President, to introduce our resource person, Dr. Chaitali Kulkarni.
Thank you,
Deba,
Dr.
please.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Shubha. Today, our first speaker, Dr. Chaitali Kulkarni, ma'am, ex-president of Karnataka Qualified Homeopathic Doctors Association, has an experience of 21 years, practices at Brahma Chaitanya Homeopathic Clinic and Diet Consultancy, completed BHMS from Bharati Vidyapeeth Homeopathic Medical College, Pune, and MSc Dietitian and Food Service Management from IGNOU. And also she has done her course in CNCC Pediatric Nutrition. She is, since long, she is very active member of our Karnataka Qualified Homeopathic Doctors Association, ex-president and Rotary Club member. She is inspiration to most of the lady homeopaths to balance the professional life and personal life. Any query, you call her anytime, she will resolve all your problems. Dear ma'am, I welcome you for your presentation.
Can I say one word, Dr. Deepa? Can I say one word?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Dr. Chaitali, you belong to which Rotary Club? I don't know.
The Rotary South Parade.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir.
South Parade.
Yes, sir.
When did you join?
Sir, 3 years over, sir.
You didn't tell me. The Junction Club is a byproduct of South Parade.
Ah.
Do you know that? Today, Junction Club is very strong. It is a byproduct of South Parade.
Yes, sir.
Mr. U.B. Bhatt started that.
Yes, sir. Basu sir and UB Bhatt sir are the mentors of the club.
Anyhow, we will talk later on, okay?
Yes, sir.
Please go ahead.
Thank you, Dr. Deba Raji. And I welcome our all lovable, caring Dr. Chaitali Kulkarni, our immediate past president, to present her experiences, to share her experiences. We all are eagerly waiting, ma'am. Welcome to the all.
Thank you, Dr. Shubha. Thank you, Dr. Deepa Raje, and thank you, President Sir, for giving me this opportunity. And it's really gives me immense pleasure that to speak on our own KQHDA platform, and that also in a webinar way. So thank you, Hegde Sir, for this opportunity. Should I share the screen now?
Yes.
Yes, you can.
Is it visible?
All good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Make it full screen, ma'am.
Yes. Yeah, is it visible?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So today's my topic is post-COVID management. As we saw that the next second wave or the last wave which we faced was a very, very critically strong wave of COVID-19. Many of the families, whole families were suffering. Many of the family members, we had to face some casualties also. So this last wave of COVID-19 really very, very bad wave. And we all went through some of our own also suffered with that, and they came out with a rebounds with their vitality, but they had to suffer within this last wave. So this wave is a very good thing. We are a little breathing now, but what I am facing in my clinic, and you all are also facing, that after COVID, many people are coming and telling some kind of a common symptoms which are repeatedly facing, they are facing repeatedly for over the last some 2-3 months or for more than 3 months also, since they have suffered with the COVID. So it gave me a big felt a big opportunity for all of our homeopaths, that to see that what kind of symptoms they are going through for so much of a long period of time. Because if some symptom is creating some problem in their system over a period of time, it may change their pathophysiology for permanently. So I feel that this symptom, that is which is a post something, is only and only in our homeopathy, like post herpetic fevers, post tuberculosis, post something, a causative agent is to be taken consideration to take the to recover the patient is very, very important only in homeopathy. So I felt that post-COVID symptoms has to be graded very high with our homeopathy, so that we can recover their whole immune system, which is going into the next level of or which is damaging their own pathophysiology. So I felt we have to give a good importance for this topic. So what is a post-COVID scenario is that now you all are clear that it is not only a one single respiratory system failure. It gives all multi-systemic failure. What happens is a cytokine storm when patient suffers immunity. And it can overdrive, a fatal overdrive, what we say, and leads to the multi-organ failure. Multiple studies are getting conducted to observe physical, mental, and social economical consequences of the COVID pandemic. As we all know that post-COVID patient can suffer with a different system. Neurological, like headaches, dizziness, encephalopathies, myalgias, anosmias, stroke, and end is the stroke. Renal, which has proteinuria, hematuria, hepatic, we all have observed that for a long time, people may have high LFTs, raised LFTs. Then gastrointestinal symptoms. In fact, one of the major symptoms last wave was a diarrhea. So post-COVID recovery, also many people suffered with the multiple stools or a loose bowels for a longer time. Then dermatological symptoms with the urticaria and erythematic rashes. Endocrine symptoms, very important. Many people started suffering with the diabetes after COVID, hyperglycemia. Cardiac symptoms, of course, cardiac symptoms were not very immediately, but patients suffered more who were admitted in ICUs for a long of time. They were going through the cardiac shocks and cardiogenic shocks and myocardial injuries. Thromboembolism was a very important symptom for which some people have observed with the pulmonary embolism and went to the fatality. Deep vein thrombosis was also one of the symptoms. So seeing to the statistic which I saw in India, which is a very latest statistic, actually in statistics, our India is also doing very good. We are registering a lot of things in the statistics. This is a very recent study which shows from AIMS is 40% of the patients are suffering after a month of time, and 22% of the patients are after 3 months they are suffering, are 10%. 22% are 1 to 3 months, and 10% are after 3 months. Max Hospital Delhi, they recently did and published a study. It is in July 2021. They did a study on 990 patients, where 40% of the patients had to deal with the long COVID. This is a new terminology, long COVID, which means COVID which is more than 3 weeks, more than, and the COVID remains from weeks to months. It's a long COVID. In that, 31% people had post 3 months, 11% after 12 months. Now almost 1.5 over we are dealing with COVID. 12.5% people are within 9 to 12 months, and 9.3% patients which are more for a longer distance of time they are suffering are more with the fatigue. Fatigue is tiredness, weakness. Many patients after COVID are complaining for long fatigues. They feel like they don't have energy. 9.3% people are suffering with the muscle pain, myalgias. Commonly, they will tell about the weakness in the legs. World scenario. It is like respondents in UK told that after 12 weeks, that means almost after 3 months they were suffering. In Wuhan, China, which is a motherland of the COVID which started, there also they have recorded after 6 months also, they were post-admission patients were suffering with the COVID related symptoms. From Italy, 87% patients informed that after the discharge, more than 1 month to 3 months they were suffering. Swiss, they informed that 30% of the people were suffering after 2 to 3 months of time. So we all know, but just a review for all of you, what are the symptoms? Difficulty breathing. Some patients after a month or two also might feel to have oxygen saturation around 90% or below 90%, 88 to 92%, who are already discharged, but they may feel a little shortness of breath, cough, tiredness, fatigue, difficulty in thinking and concentration, which are then a little low in the mental activities, mood swings, chest pains, stomach pains, headaches, fast beating or pounding heart, joint and muscle pains like myalgias, pin and needle feelings, diarrheas, which are like a chronic situation, then sleep disturbances and disorders, long fevers, dizziness, then many skin rashes, and we all know that change of smell and change of taste, or loss of taste or loss of smell. What I feel generally also, along with the medicine, yes, medicine is a one energy, but which requires a small quantity, or which we should consume in a minimum quantity. Another energy is a food energy. So I always give, when I'm dealing with the post-COVID case, equal importance to the diet. Even in our Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavad Gita, it's very clearly written in Adhyaya 17, 6th stotra, that Yukta Hara Viharasya, Yukta Cheshtasya Karmasu, Yukta Swapnava Bodhasya, Yogo Bhavati Dukkhaha. What does that mean? With a combination of right diet, Yukta is correct, Yukta Ahara, that is combination of right diet, right exercise, actions with the right intention. Actions with the right intention is very important. Right amount of sleep, and with which one can mitigate all the material pain and unhappiness. So we can overcome with all this 4 sutri, you can say, we can overcome any type of sickness or weakness in the system. So what is a correct diet for that? Even in Bhagavad Gita, that is also very clearly mentioned in Adhyaya 12, 8th stotra, Ayur Sattva Bala Arogya, Sukha Preeti Vivardhana, Rasya Snigdha Stira Hridaya, Ahara Satvika Priya. So what is Satvika Ahar? See, even though you have enough of money, you can spend on anything, but if you are sick, you can't give veg biryani, or you can't eat any McDonald's chicken or something like that, right? Why? Because it is not healing. What is healing is a sattvic ahar. purity, strength, health, and substantial food that augments one's lifespan, enthusiasm, strength, health, happiness, and satisfaction. And it should be juicy. It should not be too much chewy or gummy. It should be juicy, flattening, sustaining, and pleasing to the mind. You should feel better after eating. It should increase the vitality, generate the equanimity. That means a calmness, a soothing feeling should be there once you eat that food. That increases your healing process. So even in our homeopathy, aphorism 261, 263, Hahnemann mentions about the importance of food, diet, and nutrition only. So coming to the point, as I feel every physician should know what is a diet, what a sickness or illness he is going through. But some basic principles which we all know is basically carbohydrates. We should consume more of a carbohydrates. Basically, more than that, simple carbohydrates. Simple carbohydrates are those carbohydrates which digest more easily and convert into energy without too much of metabolic processes or complicated metabolism, where liver do not have to take part for a longer time. So which are the easy carbohydrates? Jowar, bajra, ragi, quinoa, corn, barley, oats, unpolished or polished rice. Those rice is okay. They are easy to digest and generate energy very easily. What happens with the simpler carbohydrates? Simpler carbohydrates generates into amino acids. That they are essential amino acids. Essential amino acids which are very easy to form the proteins. So essential amino acids has to be generated with the simple carbohydrates. As our Patel sir all the time say that we have to always remember no pizza, no pasta. Yes, definitely we have to inform patients how much ever you feel a lust of it, 2 weeks, 3 weeks over, you were in quarantine, you can't eat, but yes, you can't eat. You have to avoid noodles, maida-based products, bread, pasta, and extra fried items, definitely. Yes, they always ask us that what about the fats? So fats, yes, anytime too much fats for a sick patient is not good. And who have a digestive symptoms, especially for them, definitely not good. Try avoid too much of fatty acids. Ask them, yes, ghee is a better fat to digest because it's for a long time it is boiled. So it will not trouble to the system. So ghee sparingly you can have, but those who are very strong non-vegetarians, they can have a little broth type of thing, like soups kind of a things. But definitely they should avoid strong red meats like mutton, pork, and other red meats. Yes, most and foremost important to advise about the proteins. Proteins you all know, so always advise which are digestible, easy proteins, because proteins are the one which are going to help our T cells, lymphocytes to generate healthy immune functioning. All common proteins are pulses and figs and dates and seeds. Eggs to moderate amount of meats and fish can be consumed. This is a one specific to the COVID patients, which I advise, is a high iron diet. Of course, in generally also we advise high iron diet, but iron is very important in COVID because oxyhemoglobin is the one who is going to the oxygen level. Oxyhemoglobin to increase, which are in our dietetics studies, which we generally advise are the majorly the fruits are pomegranate type of fruits. So the diets which I advise to improve the oxygen levels in a COVID patient: pomegranate to have at least once a day, onion you can have in a soup form or a little onion in a sabzi, cinnamon, garlic, fish to certain extent, little amount, beetroots, turmeric. Turmeric is always we all Indians follow because as a antibiotic agents. Green leafy vegetables, broccoli, carrots, walnuts, tomato, legumes. On these, a little studies are done, and they have proved a little contribution to improve the oxygenation, to increase the oxyhemoglobin. So you all also can register this and can advise your patients. Most important is apa sarvasya bheshaj. Hydration is always important, which heals also as well as it clears also. So generally what I advise is 2 to 3 liters of water, low salt lassi they can have so that the probiotic curd can go, buttermilk or chas or a little mint type of juices, Fresh juices are all the time good. They all can have, but without sugar, definitely. Vegetable soups and little broths, as I said. Vitamin D, I don't have to mention it. It's most important because of COVID. They are in home for so long time. We have to advise them to come to the balconies or come out and have a little sunlight so that the healing process accentuate definitely. And you can come out of the post-COVID symptoms also early. Most and foremost important, nobody can skip out of exercises. You have to advise them to exercise. Mild to moderate exercises has to be done, because whenever we do exercise, we give a mild inflammation, and that mild inflammation is very, very in turn responsible for the recovery of the lot of inflammatory process in the system, because muscle exercises increases the cytokinin, which increases the inflammatory response. So mild to moderate exercises are always good, and they should do it. So I think this is all part which generally all of know. It was just a slight more emphasis so that you can register and advise more patient more better way. Now coming to some of my cases, which I tried to manage with our best homeopathic medicines. I think they are also common. You may feel that this was the one which I also gave, but then it is a good thing to echo whenever you listen any seminar or any speaker and you feel that yes, I had given it, you feel good. So it's like that only you might feel good after you see that you might have given the similar medicines also. So it's a first case. It's a very nice case. A lady, sorry, lady of 40 years. It is a recent case in the May 4th May 21. She had finished her course of antibiotic and ivermectin and what all not, you all know. So after that she came to me with the symptoms. After better, all the symptoms were better. From 12th May onwards, she increased with came with the increased urination, excess amount multiple times, increased glucose in the blood. Thirst was too high, frequent attacks of little cold, paroxysmal cough, greenish thick yellow mucus with expectoration, and a back nasal drip or a post nasal drip. So soreness in the chest was a very prominent symptom that she was all the time holding and coughing. It was a video consultation. Definitely all our video consultations only. Later on, I met her after 2 or 3 consultations. She was getting, that's what, suddenly when cough was hurting, rattling in the chest, khad sound was coming. Aggravation early in the morning. She used to wake up early morning, 4 o'clock. And as the rains have started, Bangalore rain starts early, so there was a dampness in the weather. And whenever sunlight comes, she was feeling better. Damp house, she was staying next to the pool and ground floor all the time. Little dampness will be their ground floor houses. So a little dampness in the house and no sunlight in her house, she said. Weakness, fatigue, restlessness of the limbs while talking. Mentals was avoiding contact with people, little emotionals, high anxiety. Since it was a very, immediately she was worried for the COVID and post-COVID, definitely I did not take a very detailed mentals for the first time. But CT scan report was there, which had a pneumonia with the CT score 5 and bilateral pneumonia was there. HbA1c count was 8.9, so nearing 9. Fasting sugar 208 and random was 268. This is a report. This is a CT report. After the repertorization, which I found, considering all 8-10 symptoms which I took in consideration, greenish yellow mucus, profuse frequent urination, diabetes, I found iodine, lycopodium, natrum sulph and phos in a one line for the first 4. But natrum sulph is a very high graded medicine for the dampness weather and better by sunlight, plus diabetes. It is a directly rubric is there in natrum sulph as a diabetes. It covers the diabetes also, plus frequent urination. Cough is also covered with that. Night urination is also covered with that. And chest pain is also covered with that, with the coughing and holding the chest. So I selected natrum sulph 200 twice a day for 5 days. After a 10 to 12 days, she came back to me, online consultation. Pretty cough and respiratory symptoms were almost all were better. Urine frequency morning was better, but still in the night 3 to 4 times she was going for urination, and it was in a excess urination. Tearing pain in the joints, which she told me new symptom, feeling profound weakness, debility, which is definitely a old symptom, debility, no energy to get up also, worse with the exertion, stumbling while walking, and feels exertion even after talking. And night aggravation was from carryover from the last time. And sugar, random sugar she did, which was a 240. Again, I felt that it has helped Natrum Self. So I again repeated Natrum Self 200 twice a day for 5 days. Along with that, after 5 days of time, I added Syzygium jambolinum, mother tincture, 10 drops daily. Syzygium jambolinum is a very good medicine for triggering pancreas and beta cells of Langerhans. So I felt that it is a recently started diabetes for immediately recovery. Mother tincture should help her more better manner. So I started 10 drops of Syzygium after Natrum Self. So after 15 days of time, 11/6, she reported that weakness was better. Profuse urine still in the night persistent. Joint pains are okay, not too much severe. Able to work and go for a light exercise, but weakness, still the continuation of weakness was there. Random sugar was 212, which was 268, and HbA1c came down after almost a month of time to 7.8, which was 8.9. So that was a big change for me. We all generally nutrition, we all follow HbA1c than the fasting and PP. So HbA1c coming down was a majorly change in her system. This was her report. In even aphorism number 241 to 250, Dr. Hahnemann also advises a lot of things. He has emphasized on the epidemic intermittent fevers. So he gives a lot of insightful things, what all things can change and how can we deal with that. That also helped me a lot, where he says about the miasm background. As I told you, that 25 to 30% of people post COVID, whoever admitted, came with the diabetes. And the symptoms were like high sugars, blurry vision, loss of alertness, slow healing cuts and wounds, and extreme fatigue. And many patients complain me that they are not able to regain the weight loss with the sugar high. So as I told you, I thought that it is now standstill point. She's not recovering with the Natrum Self. What do I give? So when I thought about my aphorism number 241 to 250, he mentions that we have to treat anti-miasmatic at this point of time when you feel that the recovery is at still point. So diabetes, as we all know, it is definitely psychosis. So I started with Tuja 1 mg I gave 1 dose, and I repeated every month 1 dose. Generally, also in my practice, for every diabetes case, I try to give anti-miasmatic or Tuja some time of during the time span of the treatment. Along with that, I added Syzygium jambolinum the same way, 10 drops daily. Tuja, if you see the Materia Medica, in Borix, it's clearly written that Tuja always follows Natrum Self in respiratory complaints, well in acute diseases. It covers maximum of the respiratory, including of pneumonia. Rattling mucus, purulent discharge is also a part of Tuja, and it covers frequent micturations, especially at night. It's complementary to Natrum Self. Even if you see the chart which I gave, which we did the repertorization also, there is a Tuja in 8th number, 7th or 8th number. So Tuja also follows well with Natrum Self. So after that, the report came as fasting 170 and PP was 226. And after that, again, 1 more dose of Tuja I gave repeated after like almost 3 weeks of time. Syzygium is continued the same way. And on 29th of like day before yesterday, I asked her to do 1 random sugar, which was glucometer reading she sent me on phone today. Was she called on me and told me with the happiness that it was 147. But today I told her to share. She has shared the mobile chat in that she has shared the glucometer reading for today. So this was a very good case for me. Another case was a vertigo case. Rashmi, 37 years. She had already finished whole course of COVID post medication. After that, she started symptoms of vertigo. Vertigo from 31st of onwards, vertigo daily with a mild nausea, vertigo rising from bed, sitting, moving up head with the nausea, belching, regurgitation, mild nausea, vomiting and constipation, loss of smell, loss of taste, appetite decreased, tiredness, weakness, malaise feeling. This is one, vertigo is a one common symptom which I have observed many patients suffer after the COVID. More than 8 to 10 cases post-COVID vertigo I came across, and some of my experiences. So taking into consideration our important rubrics, I came across with the Nux vomica. Nux vomica I felt correct only because definitely there were acidic symptoms and all regurgitation, nausea, constipation was there. So I felt yes, I should give Nux vomica. Nux vomica was given 30 Nux vomica, 4 pills 3 times a day for 5 days. After a week of time, she called me and told that rest all the symptoms are okay, but vertigo she's still suffering. Then I thought and went back to the Materia Medica, and plus our chart which we gave was when I checked it out was a cocculus which was coming up after that matching to the symptoms. Allen's, it is very clearly written that when fever resumes slow, sneaking, nervous from vertigo. So after the fever, if the vertigo is there, one of the more important medicines are cocculus. Cocculus helped her a lot, and she returned all. She had a loss of taste and smell also after 15 days also. So that also recovered with the cocculus. Cocculus covers this symptom also. Weakness better with a mild acidity present. So when I came across the other vertigo patients, which I can say is that Carboveg always helps when there is a deeper pathology like low vitality, exhausted, lung fibrosis, pneumonia with lung fibrosis. Definitely with vertigo, go for Carboveg. Cocculus, as I told you, when rising, sitting up, occipital headaches. Bryonia is a very important medicine, but with the colds like a sinus headaches. Kalicar is many times, but Kalikab is a very sudden fainting, gets up, faint. She will black out everything. So it's a Kalikab. Pulsatilla with always with the purulent secretions. Green.
Dr. Chaitali, please unmute yourself. Dr. Chaitali.
Hello?
Yeah, yes.
Hello, am I audible now?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Nux vomica, blurring also suddenly with the gastric symptoms. Another one more very important remedy which you can always remember is a eucalyptus. Post-influenzal vertigo, eucalyptus helps a lot. Eucalyptus helps in fevers, relapsing type, with cough, for everywhere. Eucalyptus is always good post-influenzal type of fevers with vertigo. Yeah. Similar case, but with the loss of smell. This is a patient called as a Rupa. She had a post-COVID 21 days over, and she had a symptom of a loss of smell and taste. But there was a history with a runny nose it is, till last week, and the cold was better, and suddenly smell went off. Whenever some patient says that my cold for a long time was there, and suddenly smell went off, with LFTs raised, decreased appetite, not able to digest even milk and milk products. And with the history, if you ask, if somebody says there is a digestion problem, bloated abdomen, and which was more in a COVID, generally with the LFTs raised, post runny nose discharge, it comes as a Magmoor. Magmoor 30, 4 pills, 3 times a day for 5 days I gave. By 6th day, she called me and told me that the loss of smell was recovered. Another same way, but a little difference, was a Hemavati, 50 years female, same complaint, loss of taste after 3 weeks of COVID, taste and smell, soreness of the nose, runny nose, sneezing many times in a day, and headaches, majorly the frontal headaches. So whenever there is a acrid coryza, wherever it's an active coryza, loss of smell and taste with mild headache, it is definitely Natramur. Natramur 30, 4 pills 3 times a day. I gave for 5 days. Smell returned back within a week of time. Cold and frontal sinuses also were cleared. This was her report, positive, negative, both. They tested with the nowadays they are getting. There is a MyLab kits. They are following that and informing immediately from the home itself. So she informed me positive, negative, both on this kit only. So little learning. I've got some cases with that. What I have given to the cases is with cough, smell diminished, wanting with test, Justicia. With cough, definitely it goes with the Justicia. Magmur, you check the LFTs. 1 second. Magmur with the LSTs raised and the gastric symptoms, it is Magmur. Natramur with the fluent coryza and blocked nose, sneezing and headaches. Pulsatilla, as I told you, yellowish and thick discharge. Cilicia, if somebody has a DNS, chronic cold and blocked nose, and there is no post-COVID, there is a diminished smell and taste, it is definitely Cilicia. Of course, you can go ahead with the constitutional when you see some constitutional points also with Cilicia. Medorinum also same way. If it is a chronic sinus, itching and rubbing of nose, rainy weather, rubbing of nose and chronic sinus, definitely it is a Medorinum. So these are some learnings from me. As I explained just now only, Natramur, cold during Natramur, cold after Magmur, same smell diminished and wanting, test Natramur, Pulsatilla, Justicia, Magmur, Cilicia, Medorinum. In Kent, it is very nicely given separate with a separate rubric. Another case, he was the son of that Rupa. He came to me with a different symptom. After the COVID, after 15 days, he had a still severe throat pain. Post 8 to 10 days of some 7 days, 12 days antibiotic was given, but then too it was not recovered. So this was a severe throat pain, left-sided and extending to ears. Very, very important thing, left-sided and extending to ear. Not able to swallow, empty swallowing, burning in the throat, choking kind of a sensation, empty swallowing, difficult, but to lump feeling all the time. Lump in a throat prong, which I took it for the rubric. Fullness of the throat, not able to sleep, better cold in general, drinking or applying, cold sweat. When we repertorized, it came out to be lachesis. Of course, I gave the same medicine because always remember what I remember is severe throat pain, left side and extending to ear, one symptom, and swallowing empty, burning in the throat, and night aggravation, not able to sleep. Generally, it is lachesis. I gave lachesis 200, 2 times a day for 3 days of time. No fever, even he had a fever along with that. So it was almost 21 days fever time for him. Choking sensation also recovered and swallowing pain also recovered. There was a small, he also explained me, and when I asked him that what was your complaints, can you just brief me? So the way he has a small video he gave me after this treatment done. I will just share the small video. Switch on. Oh.
Volume, Dr. Chan. Ma'am, we cannot hear him. The audio is not there.
Hello everyone, I am 26 years old and me along with my mother were diagnosed with COVID on April 2021. My symptoms included sore throat,
Ma'am,
fever,
kindly unmute.
loss of taste and smell. Hello everyone, I am 26 years
Yes,
old
ma'am.
and we along with my mother were diagnosed with COVID on April 2021. My symptoms included sore throat, fever, weakness, loss of taste and smell. After taking antibiotics, my sore throat was not improved. Therefore, I consulted Dr. Chaitanya, who prescribed homeopathic
Ma'am,
medicines,
speak
which
one or
helped
two
me
words.
Okay.
the post-COVID.
Okay, fine. Nothing. It was just to show that after COVID, after antibiotics of full course 21 days, he was suffering still with the fever and throat. So this was a very good case which recovered in no time. How much time do I have, Trupti?
You can take 5 more minutes, no problem.
Fine. Okay, fine. Yeah. This was a very good case who had a renal transplant 10 months back, who came with the COVID on 27th of June. This was a, maybe you can say first or second case of mine last year, 2020. Post renal transplant, he had a fever within some 10 months of time. He got COVID, and with the symptoms of low grade fever, twice evening, extreme body ache, cold, loss of taste, loss of smell, exertion aggravation, motion aggravation, hot drinks. As that time only Dr. Pradeep Gupta sir's session had done, and I was very impressed with the bryonia and the symptoms, what all things he explained. I felt this is a correct match of that. I gave bryonia, and to my surprise, it was really, he recovered within 5 days of time. Because he was on all immunity suppressant medicines because of a transplant, then also bryonia worked without any problem, and he recovered within no time. Another important case was his wife, who had a fever more than 3 weeks of time, with the symptoms of severe body ache, backache, weakness during fever, profuse perspiration, rise of temperature, evening rise of temperature, and a whole body painful. Thus, I felt it is a kind of a similar of a bryonia. I gave both of them bryonia, but no change. Within a week of time, how he recovered, she did not recover. So thank you to Dr. Chirant, who is our Vice President, KQHDA, because at that time he was seeing many patients. So I felt to consult him. I asked him, would you like to take case along with me? So he agreed to me, and he took the case along with me, and we both together came out to be with the repatrization to give Pulsatla. We gave Pulsatla 1M 4 doses. So other than all symptoms of, fever, everything recovered with the body ache, weakness improved within 5 days. And she herself said 60 to 70% she was feeling better. But mild rise of temperature was every day in the evening. That triggered me for seeing that what do we give further. As we see in Allen's and many stalwarts have said that when it comes to the standstill for fevers, the important medicine we have to give I preferred to give Pyrogen, and 3 days when I was giving Pyrogen, they were sending me every day's report. So they sent me after Pyrogen, I made them to wait for 3 more days and then let me know. So they sent me, it is a mobile shot from their mobile, that within next 3 days of time, fever was not there, which was continued for 21 days of time. So this was a one very good case for me, fever. Many a times, even other than the fever, post fever, chronic fatigue syndrome is commonly we are facing with myalgic encephalomyelitis. So it's like a physical fatigue, and people feel mood swings and sleep deprived and sleep disturbs. So there are direct rubrics in homeopathy, which we can go ahead with sulfur, china, eupatorium, and lot many. But for the recovery of weakness, what I have given in my clinic is Avena sativa. Whenever there is a nutritional functions problem, sleeplessness and all kind of complaints, I give Avena sativa 10 drops daily with the water. Alpha for the patients who have some blood parameter changes, 10 drops daily, like low hemoglobin, low platelets, low CBC count. Alpha is a very good medicine. In a mother tincture, 10 drops daily. Ginseng, generally I give for the post-inflammatory fevers, like a glandular, like that of a tonsillitis or a throat infection, post-glandular infections, chronic fatigue syndrome with severe myalgias. Ginseng is a very good drug of choice. I've got a good result of ginseng, mother tincture or 1x form. Then Gentiana lutea, whenever there is an appetite low with the vertigo, mild headaches, it acts as a tonic, and it even recovers the gastric symptoms also. So I prefer to give Gentiana lutea for a gastric plus vertigo cases, kind of a thing. As we all know that after influenza, for the weakness recovery, you can give Quinine, Califos. Out of proportion weakness, sulfuric acid is a good drug. Exertion slight form, Barita carb goes good, and there are many other elements. Thank you very much. I have a lot of videos with all patients, but I think there are 2 more speakers. So definitely I will share all those videos with some other time.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Chaitali ma'am.
Thank
you. A wonderful and knowledgeable session. Thanks indeed for your clinical tips. Now I invite Dr. Tripti Pai, our treasurer, to talk about today's sponsors. Tripti, please.
Thank you, Dr. Shubha. Our sponsors for today's webinar are Maruti Homeo Center, which is at Rajaji Nagar, 2nd block, Bangalore. These are wholesale distributors and they will distribute homeopathic medicines all across Bangalore. So this is their mobile number, email address. Our second sponsor for today's webinar is National Institute of Clinical Excellence Homeopathy. This institute was established in the year 2013 by Professor Dr. H.L. Swami. The vision of this institute, it's an endeavor to bridge the gap between theory and practice, book and bedside, classes and cases, student and clinician. It mentors homeopaths to handle and treat various ailments with homeopathy and follows Hahnemann classical homeopathy. The courses offered by this institute is Metamorphosis, which is a basic course on classical homeopathy with duration of 10 months. This institute has completed successfully 7 batches of Metamorphosis courses, guiding practitioners, budding homeopaths, and help them to cross the journey between theory and practical. The next course offered is Advanced PG Diploma course in Thyroid Disorder and Diabetes Mellitus. It is a 6-month online course. Now this year, the second batch has started. It will start from 8th August, every Sunday, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. And the institute also conducts workshops. They have conducted workshop on intercurrent remedies and dermatology. Just to brief you all quickly about the diabetes, the diploma course in thyroid disorders and diabetes. What they will teach in this thyroid disorders module is about the scope and limitations of homeopathy in endocrinal disorders, the importance of case taking, clinical examination, lab investigations, homeopathic perspective of thyroid disorder, the miasmatic approach, case study different types, approach to thyroid through case studies. So it will be more of clinical cases and clinical evidence-based cases. Then in diabetes also, the brief introduction of diabetes mellitus with signs and symptoms, diagnosis, complications, and latest updates about diabetes mellitus, the miasmatic understanding, classical approach, homeopathic management, the physiology, drugs and organ remedies, challenges in managing diabetic complications entirely with homeopathy, and issues related to diabetic complications. The faculties and coordinators of this institute are Professor Dr. B.D. Patel, Professor Dr. Shripad Hegde, Professor Dr. H.L. Swami. These are the faculties, and the coordinators are Dr. Shilpa Satish, Dr. Anuradha Vishwanath, and Dr. Tripti Pai. So just a reminder one more time, the second batch of thyroid disorders and diabetes management course will commence from 8th August, that is next Sunday, morning 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. So anyone who are interested in joining this diploma course can contact any of the coordinators, or you can also email us at pgnice2020@gmail.com. Thank you, Dr. Shubha.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Tripti. thanks to Maruti Homeo Center and National Institute of Clinical Excellence, Bangalore, for sponsoring today's webinar. Now I invite Dr. Shri Priya Rajagopalan, our life member, to introduce the second speaker